There are moments in life when your heart aches for more, not just for money, but for freedom, peace, and the quiet assurance that you are supported by something far greater than yourself. You lie awake at night wondering if your dreams are too big, if the life you imagine is out of reach, if perhaps the door to abundance was never meant to open for you. But what if I told you the door was never locked? What if all it took was the right key, and that key could be found in 3 simple words? This isn't about luck. It's not about chance. It's about alignment, about speaking words so charged with faith, so drenched in belief, that they change the very atmosphere around you. One man stood at the edge of his life with only a vision and a whisper on his lips. Day after day, he repeated the same 3 words until they became the very air he breathed. And then the unimaginable happened. 68 million flowed into his reality, not as a miracle from nowhere, but as the natural result of his unwavering faith. And today, I'm going to tell you those words. One I receive to say, I receive, is to open the gates of your life to blessings that have been circling around you, waiting for permission to enter. Most people live their lives with their hands clenched, their hearts guarded, and their minds crowded with reasons why good things can't happen for them. They pray for abundance, yet deep inside, they secretly resist it. They want miracles, yet somewhere within, they do not feel worthy of them. The moment you speak the words, I receive, with pure faith, something inside you shifts. You stop chasing, you stop begging, and you start allowing. You begin to understand that abundance does not need to be hunted. It needs to be welcomed. When you say, I receive, you are declaring that you are open to gifts you did not plan, to opportunities you did not predict, to solutions you could never have imagined. You are telling life, I am ready for what is mine, and life listens. The man who manifested 68 million didn't start with money. He started with this truth. Each morning, before the noise of the day could steal his focus, he would place his hand over his heart and whisper, I receive. He didn't wait until he felt confident. He didn't wait until he had evidence. He understood that faith always comes before proof. He wasn't asking the universe for scraps. He was standing as if the banquet had already been served. Most people think receiving is passive, but it is not. To truly receive, you must prepare yourself. You must expand your capacity. Imagine trying to fill a small cup with the ocean. You can't hold it, not because the ocean is unwilling to give, but because your container is too small. I receive stretches your container. It opens your hands, your mind, and your spirit to hold more than you ever thought possible. It teaches you to stop turning away from the very blessings you've prayed for because they come in forms you didn't expect. The man's journey was not without resistance. There were days his bank account mocked him. There were moments when doubt crept in, whispering, you're lying to yourself. But instead of giving that voice power, he returned to the words, I receive. He said it when he had nothing in his pocket. He said it when bills piled high. He said it when people laughed at him. And with each repetition, the soil of his mind became fertile for miracles. He began to notice small signs, unexpected checks in the mail, strangers offering help, opportunities aligning without effort. At first they were tiny ripples, but he kept watering them with his words until the ripples became waves. I receive is not limited to money. It is the posture of welcoming everything good, love, health, peace, favor. Some of you have been blocking your blessings because you think receiving makes you selfish. You think you must always give, always sacrifice, always be the one pouring out. But an empty vessel cannot pour. When you receive, you are replenished. You become a well that never runs dry. This is why he was able to attract such great wealth. Not to hoard it, but to flow it back into the world with power and generosity. Receiving is also about trust. Trust that you are worthy. Trust that there is no shortage. Trust that what you need is already on its way. Too many live in fear of lack, clutching what little they have, unknowingly shutting the door to more. I receive is the opposite of fear. It is the ultimate act of surrender and faith. It is saying, I will not resist what belongs to me. And here's the secret, the more you receive with gratitude, the more you are trusted with. This is why some people seem to live in constant flow. Their hearts are open, their hands are ready. As he practiced these words, the man's energy changed. He walked differently, he spoke differently. Opportunities began seeking him out. Investors approached him, ideas came alive in his mind. Partnerships fell into place without force. The money wasn't the goal, it was the byproduct of a life positioned to receive. People asked him, how did you do it? Expecting a strategy, a secret investment, or a lucky break. He smiled and said, I received it before it came. If you can grasp this truth, your life will change. You do not have to know how it will come. You do not have to figure out the details. Your only task is to prepare your spirit to receive, to say it until your whole being believes it. Say it when you wake. Say it before you sleep. Say it when fear knocks. Say it when doubt screams. And watch how life responds, because when you truly declare, I receive, you stop standing outside in the cold, waiting for the door to open. You realize the door was never locked. You walk through it, and everything you've been longing for is already there, waiting for you to take it. To allow, to say, I allow, is to release the grip you've had on life, to stop trying to control every outcome, every timing, every detail. It is the act of loosening the knots of resistance that you've tied around your blessings. There are so many people who ask, who pray, who declare, yet they never truly allow what they've asked for to arrive. They want the miracle, but they stand in the doorway, blocking its entry with fear, doubt, and the constant need to be in control. I allow is not just a statement, it is the unshackling of your spirit. It is an invitation for the universe, for God, for the flow of abundance to move in your life without the chains of your limitations. The man who manifested 68 million understood this principle deeply. He knew that asking was only the first step, receiving was the second, but allowing was the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Allowing meant he would stop interfering with the process. He would no longer dig up the seeds he planted to see if they were growing. He would no longer question whether the ground was fertile enough. He would trust that what he had spoken was already moving toward him, and that his only task was to make space for it to arrive. Allowing is often harder than asking. Asking takes seconds, allowing takes surrender. It requires the humility to accept that you do not need to know how everything will unfold. It requires you to quiet the voice inside that demands proof before believing. The man would sit in silence each morning and simply breathe the words, I allow. He would let the tension drain from his shoulders, unclench his jaw, and drop the weight of worry from his chest. He treated those words like a key that unlocked the floodgates of peace. Because when you allow, you are not only welcoming abundance, you are stepping into harmony with it. Most people don't even realize how much they resist. They say they want love, but they carry walls so high no one can climb them. They say they want wealth, but they believe deep down that money is evil or hard to get. They say they want opportunities, but when they knock, they are too afraid to open the door. Resistance can be subtle, a small, what if it doesn't work, whispered in the back of your mind, a quick dismissal of an idea because it feels too big for you. And each time you entertain that resistance, you push away what is trying to reach you. I allow melts that resistance. It is like throwing open the windows after a long winter and letting fresh air flood in. For the man, allowing became a discipline. Whenever fear rose up, he didn't fight it. He didn't try to overpower it with force. He simply spoke, I allow, until his heart softened. He allowed the possibility that life could be easier than he had been taught. He allowed the idea that wealth could come without endless struggle. He allowed himself to feel worthy of what he desired, and something remarkable began to happen. The very things he had been chasing began chasing him. Doors opened without him pounding on them. People called him with offers he didn't seek. Investments paid off in ways that defied logic. He met individuals who held the exact keys he needed to take his dreams higher. And through it all, he kept repeating the words, I allow. He did not sabotage these moments with overthinking or with the urge to control. He did not demand to see the whole path before taking the first step. He walked forward in trust, allowing each piece to fall into place in its perfect time. Allowing is about letting life surprise you. It's about creating room for blessings to come in ways you never imagined. Too many people demand that abundance arrive on their terms, in the exact package they pictured. But when you do this, you limit the infinite ways life can deliver to you. The man could have decided that the only way to become wealthy was through one path, one deal, one method. But he didn't. He stayed open. He allowed wealth to flow through unexpected channels. A sudden partnership, an overlooked investment, a piece of advice that led to a breakthrough. Because he allowed, he did not miss the opportunities that others ignored. To allow also means to let go of the past. You cannot hold on to yesterday's pain and expect tomorrow's blessings to settle comfortably in your heart. The man had his share of disappointments, deals that failed, people who betrayed him, seasons where he had nothing. But he refused to let those experiences harden him. He allowed healing. He allowed forgiveness. He allowed himself to see beyond what had gone wrong to what could still go right. When you say, I allow, you are stepping into the flow of life rather than fighting against it. You stop trying to force rivers to run uphill. You let things come when they are ready, in the way they are meant to come. This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you move with inspired action rather than frantic struggle. It means you trust that you are supported, that the current is carrying you toward your desires, not away from them. The beauty of I allow is that it softens your energy. People feel it when you've let go of desperation. They sense that you are grounded, calm, magnetic. Opportunities are drawn to that energy because there is no resistance, no frantic pushing. The man became a magnet for abundance not because he was the loudest, the smartest, or the most aggressive, but because he allowed himself to be a vessel for what was already his. And here is the most powerful part. Allowing is not just for the big moments. It is for the little moments each day when you choose to trust instead of panic, when you choose to relax instead of worry, when you choose to stay open instead of shutting down. The man's 68 million was not the result of one giant moment. It was the result of thousands of small moments where he chose to allow instead of resist. If you can embrace these two words, I allow, your life will shift in ways you cannot even predict. Because the moment you allow, you make room. And when there is room, blessings rush to fill it. A third I overflow. To say, I overflow, is to declare that your life is so filled with goodness, abundance, and blessing that it spills over into the world around you. It is the affirmation that you are not living from scraps, not operating from survival, not clinging to barely enough, but that you are standing in the place where every need is met, and more keeps coming. Overflow is not just about having more than enough money. It is about having more than enough love to give, more than enough joy to share, more than enough peace to radiate. It is about becoming a fountain that never runs dry. When you live in overflow, you are no longer trying to gather crumbs from the table of life. You are the banquet, and others are fed by your presence. The man who manifested 68 million didn't stop when he had enough to take care of himself. He understood that true abundance doesn't end with you. It multiplies through you. When he repeated the words, I overflow, he was training his mind to see beyond his own needs and step into the role of a giver, a builder, a source. He pictured his life as a river, not a reservoir, a constant flow of blessings moving in and out, without fear of running dry. He knew that the moment you hoard what you have, you begin to shrink your capacity to receive. But when you allow it to flow freely, more is drawn to you because the flow can be trusted. Overflow is a mindset. Many people are trapped in scarcity even when they have much. They hold on to every resource, every opportunity, every bit of energy because deep down they fear it will run out. But the truth is, life matches the energy you carry. If you carry fear of loss, you will live in loss. If you carry expectation of overflow, you will live in overflow. The man woke up each day imagining his life spilling over, bank accounts growing, relationships deepening, joy increasing, health radiating, and he allowed that vision to take root in his spirit until it became his reality. Overflow is also an act of gratitude. It is saying, I have so much to be thankful for, and I trust that more is on the way. Gratitude creates expansion. The more you appreciate, the more you are entrusted with. The man's wealth didn't just grow because of strategy, it grew because of the energy he carried into every room, every meeting, every decision. He overflowed with thankfulness, and people wanted to work with him, invest with him, and be connected to his vision. Overflow made him magnetic. Living in overflow also changes the way you handle challenges. When you see yourself as overflowing, you stop reacting from desperation. You stop making decisions out of panic. You face setbacks with the confidence that they cannot drain you because your source is infinite. The man had moments when deals fell through, when markets shifted, when plans unraveled. But instead of collapsing into fear, he returned to his declaration, I overflow. He reminded himself that even if one stream closed, the river was still flowing. And because he believed it, new streams always appeared. Overflow is contagious. When you live in it, others feel it. They feel the safety, the generosity, the joy. They see that you give without hesitation, and it inspires them to give as well. The man's abundance began to bless not just his family but entire communities. He funded projects, supported causes, and created opportunities for others to succeed. His overflow became a ripple effect, lifting those around him and creating a cycle of giving and receiving that never ended. To truly step into overflow, you must first reject the belief that there is a limit to what you can have or give. Scarcity teaches you to measure, to ration, to withhold. Overflow teaches you to trust the supply. It shifts your focus from, what if it runs out, to, what if it keeps coming? And the truth is, it will keep coming if you keep it moving. The man lived with this understanding. Money, love, opportunities, and blessings are like water. When water flows, it stays fresh and life-giving. When it is trapped and hoarded, it becomes stagnant. Overflow keeps your life in motion. The man's 68 million was not the end of his journey. It was simply proof of the principle. Long before the money arrived, he was already living in overflow in his mind and spirit. He gave when he had little, shared when he had just enough, and trusted that more would come. And because he lived as if the river never ran dry, it never did. Overflow is the most powerful state you can live in because it removes fear. When you overflow, you know there will always be more. You no longer compete, compare, or grasp at what others have. You celebrate their blessings because you understand there is no shortage. You don't rush, because you know nothing good will pass you by. You don't hold back love, because you know it will return multiplied. You don't withhold generosity, because you know giving is the very act that keeps the flow alive. When you say, I overflow, you are affirming that your life is not defined by lack, by limits, or by what you see right now. You are affirming that there is an endless supply moving toward you and through you. You are affirming that you are connected to the source of all good things, and that connection cannot be broken. And the more you repeat it, the more your mind begins to look for evidence of it. the more your heart begins to expect it, and the more your reality begins to reflect it. The man's story is proof that overflow is not just for the few. It is for anyone who dares to believe they are meant for more than survival. Anyone who dares to speak it, to feel it, to live as if it's already here. And when you live in overflow, you not only transform your own life, you become the reason someone else believes it's possible for them too. When you say, I receive, I allow, I overflow, you are not just repeating words, you are reprogramming the very fabric of your life. You are telling the world, the unseen, and yourself that you are ready, that you are open, that you are willing to live beyond the limits you once believed in. The man who spoke these words into his mornings did not just stumble into 68 million. He built a life where abundance was inevitable. He received without resistance, he allowed without fear, he overflowed without hesitation. And because of this, the gates of blessing never stopped swinging open for him. These 3 words are not magic, they are alignment. They work because they shift your posture from grasping to trusting, from scarcity to abundance, from survival to overflow. Speak them not just when life feels easy, but when the ground shakes, when the sky feels heavy, when nothing seems to be moving. That's when they have the most power. You are not meant for scraps. You are not meant for just enough. You are meant for a life that fills your hands, your heart, and the world around you. So speak it now, with faith that refuses to bend. I receive, I allow, I overflow, and watch what happens next.